There's a very strange conversation that's been happening in the past 10 days online. People are shocked, very, very shocked, that Indian women can actually be attractive. So why did Tyla's concert in India become such a big talking point all over the world? Online world?
Start talking about the Indian girls, mate. The Indian girls are baddies. They are fucking unreal. Like, I seen a video about these Indian girls, and the guys were commenting, being like, "Oh, shame you're Indian, bro." They look better than anything I could ever imagine. The Indian girls have got it going on. I don't know what it is about the Indian girls, but mate, they are every single one of them are fucking unreal. If you're an Indian girl and you see this, please come to Scotland because I'm fucking in love. Oh my goodness.
It's because people saw Indian women as they really are. Unapologetic, bold, expressing themselves, having fun, owning themselves, and being their beautiful Indian, attractive self. Stylish, confident, and completely unhinged. Globally, Indian women are still imagined as oppressed, regressive, not stylish, not pretty, sexless, and having no agency of their own. When the maximum amount of Miss Worlds come from India, when we have people like Priyanka, Deepika, Aishwarya everywhere, and they're not just because they have that screen to come to reach out to you. If you really go in India, if you travel across India and different parts of India, every region is completely different. You will see the kind of beauty in the middle of the streets. You will see the kind of features which are so different, from the facial features to the way they talk, to the way their gestures are, to the way their languages are. Comments like, didn't know that Indian women are such baddies, never knew that this existed in India. Are they allowed to wear these clothes in India? Wow, didn't know that Indian women can actually be hot. What you're saying isn't that Indian women are really attractive. What you're actually saying is that I had no idea that Indian women had the capability of being desirable up until now. And that's not a compliment, that's a confession. So no, this isn't a video to prove that Indians are actually attractive. It's not a glow-up video, it's no kind of montage, not a validating tour. This is about asking a very uncomfortable question. Who decided that Indian people weren't attractive in the first place? And why did so many people accept the idea without questioning it? Start from the beginning of the beginning, where all of this actually stems from. Colorism. Long before Instagram, long before TikTok, long before baddie culture actually existed, fairer skin was deemed as more attractive, as intelligent, as having more benefits, as the new beauty standard. The idea that lighter skin equals beauty, intelligence, and worth was deeply reinforced during colonial rule. British colonialism didn't just extract resources, they actually ranked bodies. Fair skin became associated with civility, power, desirability. Dark skin became associated with labor, poverty, backwardness. And those hierarchies didn't just disappear when colonialism was ended, it actually just got repackaged. That's why fairness creams were marketed to Indian women for decades and decades. You have examples like Fair and Lovely, which were marketed everywhere. And growing up in India, we've always seen that someone who was fairer or light-skinned was always known as looked at, oh my God, she has better prospects of getting married, has better prospects in doing well in life. It was propagated and passed on from pop culture to normal day-to-day society living. Why Vitush became a beauty category, and people started asking this question, oh, she's pretty for an Indian girl. They were not actually saying that. They were actually saying that, oh, she's quite desirable for being a brown. When someone online says, I didn't know that Indian women could look like this, what they're actually saying is, I didn't know that brownness could look so desirable. Now, here's the thing that needs to be said out loud in 2025, now going into 2026. Indian beauty has always existed. It's not that suddenly it's appeared in 2025. India has thousands of years of visual culture, temple sculptures with soft bellies and powerful hips, classical paintings celebrating dark skin, our goddesses also in pink, blue, dark, owning themselves and showing what kind of empowerment we've always preached and followed in India. Poetry describing women as dusk, earth, night, monsoon. Indian beauty was never invisible, it was just ignored. Only one version of India was exported or peddled. Poverty, conservatism, chaos, suffering. Not complexity, not sensuality, not style. So when people say that I never knew that this kind of India actually existed, what they're actually trying to say, I only know the version of India that confirmed my superiority. Surprise is not a compliment always. Let's unpack some of these comments over here. I don't know baddies existed in India. I don't know that Indian women could wear these kind of clothes. Wow, she's quite pretty for being an Indian. Are you actually Indian? Are you sure you're Indian? Aren't you mixed? Maybe your father is European. Maybe your mother is maybe from somewhere else. Are you sure you're 100%? Let me translate what surprise actually means. When you are surprised by something, it is a kind of dehumanization because you're thinking like, oh, this is completely out of my rule book. How did this suddenly come up to be? Because why was your default assumption that Indian women were unstylish, unattractive, repressed, and had no inkling of what desire is supposed to be like or feel like when India created the Kama Sutra and taught the world how to do it? Why is attractiveness something that you need to be proven to earn respect? So you needed Indians to be hot in order to not be racist. And what about everyone else? What about everyone else who doesn't fit into your standard of beauty? People who are disabled, people who are old, people who come from different places, people you look at as the other. Are they unstylish because they don't fit into your narrative? Are they still fair game for racism? Because if attractiveness is the condition for empathy, then this isn't progress. It's just prettier discrimination. Indians as a trend and not people.
We're famously known for lying. Lied to me, and I believe them. I'm thinking I should be less racist to Indians now that I know beautiful Indian women exist. If there weren't baddies in India, my racism and classism and xenophobia would be totally justified. People need to be beautiful and attractive for me to see them as people. And skinny while we're at it. Never forget they must have wealth too. How else could I humanize those brownies? I genuinely needed evidence that all 1.4 billion people in a country are not all ugly and dirty little pores. I was definitely aware that racism towards Indian people is weirdly acceptable and normalized in our society, and like I feel like everyone's witnessed it at some point or another.
This hate against Indian just because you can't get a job. Let me tell you something.
Excuse me, what are you doing here? I'm just delivering the food. We don't have deliveries here. I have the address. We could be letting anyone into this building if we let the likes of you in.
To pay. You know how many kids in India would love to come home to a room full of tarts? Who is that?
Cindy.
Oh, you're ordering the Indian food?
Yep.
Good, enjoy. Can you burn the house down afterward? Because that's the only way we'll get the smell out.
Absolutely. How's this?
Indian culture is always trending, but Indian people just respect it. See it everywhere. Bindi as an aesthetic, saris as this beautiful new editorial, Vogue editorial drape, Indian jewelry in high fashion magazines. But Indian bodies, Indian accent, Indian workers still mocked. Indian culture is consumed and profited off of, while Indian people are still negotiable. Let's talk about fashion, because this is where the hypocrisy is the loudest. Scandinavian dupatta scarves. Luxury Scandinavian brands have sold long printed scarves styled exactly like dupattas. Dupattas that we've been wearing from the beginning of times are marked as Nordic wraps or heritage scarves. No reference to India, no credit, no context. When Indians wear it, it's ethnic. When Europeans sell it, it's design. Prada and Kolhapuri chappals. We saw the whole fiasco of Prada where they just literally copied the Kolhapuri chappals, the leather artisanal chappals, sandals that has been created in Maharashtra for, I don't know, billions and billions of years, where Maharajas and kings used to wear them. And now Prada just took it without crediting the Indian artisans who make it in Maharashtra. And on top of that, benefiting of our culture and heritage and putting a price tag of almost $1,200, while the artisans who actually make it and sell it receive nothing in return, no credit, no profits, and no recognition of their craft as well. Thanks to the voice that we've been given right now, that Indians are calling out these injustices and these kind of cultural appropriations, that it made a lot of noise when all of us complained about it, and finally the Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce came in, stepped in, and Prada had to finally credit us. Even though they are now selling it for $800, while in India it's probably for, I don't know, $20, $30, while these while this money is actually given back to the artisans. Oh, the Gucci sari moment. Gucci-style sari inspired draping on models and called it experimental couture. But Indian women in saris are still asked, isn't that traditional? Isn't that conservative? Isn't that outdated? Same garment, different body, different respect. Indian craftsmanship becomes luxury only when it's whitened. When the West discovered that yoga and Ayurveda is not just something exotic, it actually helps, they rebranded it, repackaged it, and sold it for many thousands of dollars. They kept renaming our ancient practices to be able to fit into the Western world of selling and marketing it. For example, Kapalbhati became the Wim Hof method, Pranayama became box breathing, Yoga Nidra became NSDR, Brahmari became humming, Jalniti is now called the nasal rinse, Tarataka became candle gazing, Dhyana became mindfulness, Abhyanga became oil therapy, Panchakarma became detox retreat. First dismiss, then study, then resell, then repackage, and then completely erase the origin. Culture is extracted, people are erased. And it's not only the Western world that we need to blame, it's also our own Indian culture. We have made it completely impossible for women in India to just breathe and have their agency on their own. If you are born in a family which has one kid who is a little darker than the other, oh, it's such a big problem because kaise shaadi hogi? How will she get married? How will she come out in the world? How will she make a living for herself because of her skin color? We have perpetuated these beliefs, and these beliefs are then they have been translated into every narrative which has been sold about India. So the next time when you are passing these comments, when you are asking your daughter to lighten the skin, to whiten the skin, to say that this color is not the color of your success, think about it twice. Think about the kind of generational damage that you are causing, not only to your daughter, not only to generations after her, but to an entire world narrative that you've created about how an Indian woman is supposed to be and how less she's supposed to feel about herself if she is not fitting into a kind of a Eurocentric beauty style. Celebrities promoting Fair and Lovely creams to going and having normalizing skin lightening techniques, skin lightening, surgery, skin lightening, whatever procedures that have been followed. And if you're Indian and this resonates with you, Indian culture was always visible, but Indian people were never humanized. But this stems from a lot of other things. The post-colonial theory, Western perceptions of the East are framed through stereotypes, exoticization, and the legacy of colonialism. Othering means Indian people were historically positioned as exotic, and exotic, as you remember, is not used ever for a human, but something that is strange and distant and an absolute other creature. Submissive or backward. This explains why the global audience reacts with surprise at confident, stylish Indian women. Their narrative is still shaped by centuries of colonial gaze. We weren't invisible, we were made other, framed as exotic. Critical race theory shows us that brown skin is still seen as less desirable, and fairness has been marketed as a gateway to modernity for generations. Algorithmic theory reminds us that your feed doesn't show reality, it shows what keeps you scrolling. That's why millions are suddenly discovering Indian women. Intersectionality shows us that your invisibility is not random, it's the result of overlapping biases. You're female, brown, and global, but still rendered invisible. Hall and Marx would call this commodity fetishism, taking the aesthetic without engaging with the people or history behind it. Indian beauty has always existed. Our culture has always been vibrant. What's new is that some people are finally very uncomfortable admitting it. And that discomfort, that's their problem, not ours.